Okay guys, so here we are. We're doing the first part of this lawn renovation course. And I'm going to show you through each aspects of these videos. I'm going to do different videos, and I'm going to break down each one. That way you know exactly what you need before you start your renovation. And like I said, January is the perfect time to do this. Any other time would be a little bit behind or a little bit too far ahead. Okay, so January is a perfect time to plan for any lawn renovation that you're going to seed, sod, either of those that you want to do. So the first part of this we're going to talk about is budgeting. Budgeting is a very important part of any type of project. Okay, so a lawn renovation would not be any different than if you were adding a bathroom on, renovating a kitchen or something like that. So you always need to know what you're up against, how much you're gonna, a ballpark, at least a good ballpark of what it's gonna cost you. Okay, you don't want a lot of surprises during any type of project, because sometimes those surprises can be very costly. So what you want to do in a budget is try to estimate what each part of your project is going to cost. And in this case, it's going to be equipment, materials, things of that nature. And we're going to go through those. The first thing you want to look at when you're budgeting a lawn renovation is how much space you're going to renovate. Okay. Anything under a half an acre, you're going to save a lot of money, and it's not going to cost as much. You start going above a half an acre, and then it starts to get really, really costly, especially if we're talking about sod. So if you have an area that is a little bit more than a half an acre, you'll really have to budget for that, okay? Because that's just more time with your machines, more time, more materials, just a lot of time, even for yourself, okay? Even if you're DIY in this, there's a lot more time invested in if you're going over a half an acre. Okay, anything under a half an acre is maybe a week job or something like that, and you can pretty much knock it out. Anything over that, it gets pretty gruesome, and you can get tired pretty easy and get burned out. So you may need some help with that aspect of it. Okay, so just make sure that you calculate above a half an acre for a little bit, for more materials. Make sure you have more materials, more equipment time, and more time invested in it. Okay, so that's going to be part of that, and also measuring out your lawn. Okay, you want to make sure you get the right measurements. You also want to plan for any type of, if you're going to do any type of new beds within your lawn. Say you're going to do a new landscaping bed somewhere, you're going to change the size of one. Make sure you try to calculate that in and plan. That's why I said January is the best time for that. Okay, so make sure you're planning for all those things. So you want to look at materials. Okay, when you're looking at materials, we're talking about seed, we're talking about sod, we're talking about any type of soil amendments. We're going to need some fertilizer after the project's done. It doesn't matter if it's sod or seed. You're going to need some type of fertilizer to get that grass to start growing. Even after it starts growing, you're going to need to keep it going. Okay, so the best way to do this is to budget this is you want to look online, do a little research on the best seed to use, the type of seed that you want, the grass you want to grow. You want to look at those things, get an idea what this bag of seed will cost, 50-pound bag of seed will cost. Look at the different varieties, look at the different brands, put that all into account. And then you want to go to local areas. You can go to some of the feed and seed areas, some of the feed and seed stores, and they'll have seed sometimes cheaper than some of the big box stores like Lowe's, Home Depot, or some of those places. And it's a better quality seed. Just by my experience, a lot of the seed from Home Depot and Lowe's, I haven't had really good results from those. So you might want to try a feed and seed type of store if you have one nearby. Just take a look and see what they have. Call around, see what you can find on any of like Craigslist or even Facebook. You want to look on there. Some people have seed that's left over. Maybe they bought too much, and maybe you can use that seed. You especially want to look at sod because those run different prices. A pallet of zoysia is going to run you about $325, and I think that's probably about 450 square feet. And then your Bermuda is going to run you around $250, maybe close to $300 for the same square footage per pallet. And that's here in South Carolina. The most that I've seen is the fescue. Okay, the fescues are really high down here. They're going to run about close to $400 for 450 square feet. That's a pallet. I think there's probably about maybe 20 rolls on there. You want to look at that. And also after you prepare your ground, after tilling up and getting that ready, cleaning it up, you want to maybe put down some soil amendments. You have to account for that. We usually put down some topsoil, good dark topsoil on top of that. It looks like maybe a cubic yard is somewhere around $50, $52 right now. And that's where they account for like one scoop. Okay, and I get that at the local mulch yard or something like that. Okay, so look into that. That's going to be a lot cheaper than bags that you buy at Home Depot or something, or Lowe's or somewhere like that. So you always want to try to get the best prices, and you want to get the more product for the money that you spend. Okay, so try to get more product for the money that you spend. So that's just talking about materials. Now, you want to go into doing it yourself or hiring a professional. Now, doing it yourself, you're going to save about half as much. Okay, if you hire a professional, they're usually going to charge you twice what the materials are. Okay, so if your materials are about $5,000, well, if you get a professional to do it, they're probably going to charge you about 10. So if you have a friend, if you have relatives, try to bribe them, maybe give them some lunch, or pay them a little bit of money. Even a local kid in the neighborhood, wants some experience in lawn care or lawn renovation. Try to bribe them into helping you, and this will save you a ton of money because professionals, they'll come in there and dress everything up, make it look good, but you can do it just the same. So you're going to save yourself a ton of money doing the same kind of work. You just may need to pay somebody to help you get some of this done. Okay, if it's a small area, you could probably do it in maybe 2 or 3 days. You can probably do it yourself. If it's looking like it's a week, you may want to maybe hire somebody in the neighborhood, or maybe a friend, or get a relative to help you. That'll save you a ton of time. Plus, it'll save you on being sore for the next week or 2. So the next part of this budgeting is you want to look at renting equipment. Okay, and this could be any type of, like, if you don't have a tiller, or if you don't have any type of like a skid steer or something like that to get rid of this old lawn. You have to be able to get rid of this old lawn and get it out of here. Okay, you don't want any part of that old lawn left over, because remember, it contains weeds, and even it contains seed pods from the old lawn. So we don't want any of that in our new lawn. We want to start fresh, and we want to get all that out of here. Okay, so you can go by your local rental stores. Home Depot rents a lot of that machinery. So if you want to look there, and some of the other rental places, I mean, there's plenty of rental places. If you look online, just put in rental equipment. You can look on there. Facebook, you can look on there. There's a lot of shops out there that rent equipment. They will deliver it. They'll pick it back up. They'll show you how to use it. And then it's just from there, all you pretty much have to do is get a feel for the machine. It's really easy to use. Any of it can get the job done. Probably with the lawn renovation, you're probably going to need a skid steer with tracks, because you're going to go back and forth a lot. wheels may cause a little bit more damage to the lawn. Spinning those tires in the lawn, you don't want those. You want to have tracks. Make sure you have tracks on that skid steer. Okay, that's easier to move and it doesn't rut it out. Okay, like I said, they'll show you how to use that. It's really simple to use. It's not hard at all. And then you want to get rid of that lawn. You want to, if you have a truck or someone you can rent a truck from, you can rent a trailer from Home Depot. They're about $100 a day, maybe even less. That's probably about $50 a day, and you can get rid of that lawn. You can put it in a compost pile, put it somewhere on your land, or you can take it to the landfill. Okay, just make sure you get rid of that old lawn. You don't want any of that sticking around and causing you more problems with your new lawn. Okay, so you can just call different rental equipment companies and see what their prices are. Okay, so a couple of things I wanted to add into here that you may need to account for is you may need to account for irrigation. This can be a little tricky, and it does come with if you're doing the irrigation by yourself. There's not that much cost in it, especially if it's under a half an acre. There's not that much cost in it. That's not really a lot of sprays, and you're not going to add that many valves. So make sure you know if you're going to put irrigation in, because you'll want to put that irrigation in after you prep it and get it ready for sodding, okay, or seeding. You want to get ready. You want to put the irrigation in first to get it ready, and then you can come in with your seed or sod, and then you'll have everything ready to water by itself, and you won't have to worry about any of that. So irrigation is a big part of this. Make sure you budget that in. That's just an extra expense. That's one of those extra expenses I was talking about earlier. And like I said, you want to make sure if you have any garden beds or landscaping beds you want to extend, or any of those beds that you want to add. So make sure you know where those areas are going to be. That way you're not spending money on grass that you don't need or seed that you don't need in those particular areas. And also make sure that if you have any walkways that you want to incorporate into your new lawn, make sure that is accounted for also. Like I said, you don't want to spend more money on seed or sod if you don't have to. Okay, and always remember that this can be done in phases. It doesn't have to be done all at once. A lot of things have been done in phases due to budgeting, and that's a smart choice. You know, if you don't want to do it all right now, do half of it or part of it now, and then maybe next season do the other part. Okay, because it doesn't really matter if it all gets done or not, as long as it's within your budget. Okay, if you can afford that, then that's what you can afford, and then you can come back later and finish it up. Okay, so just take into account all these things that I just talked about when you are budgeting for your new lawn renovation, because each one of these aspects of what we just talked about will be very important in going forward with any type of renovation that you're doing. Okay guys, so that's the end of this video. That was about budgeting. The next video will be on site preparation, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you next time, guys. Have a great day.